In 1901, a moment in literary history was etched in gold. The world's very first Nobel Prize in Literature was awarded, not to a philosopher, not to a playwright, but to a poet, a man whose words soothed hearts and stirred souls, Sully Prudhomme. This is the story of a man who transformed emotion into verse, tragedy into philosophy, and became the symbol of poetic excellence. Let us journey through his life, his struggles, and his timeless verses. René François Armand Sully Prudhomme, known to the world as Sully Prudhomme, was born on March 16, 1839, in Paris, France. The city that thrived on revolutions and Renaissance became the cradle of his poetic heart. A child who would become a pioneer in world literature, who would go on to win the first ever Nobel Prize in Literature, leaving a poetic legacy that resonated with generations to come. Sully Prudhomme was born into a modest but respectable family. His father, Alfred Prudhomme, a businessman, he was a successful shopkeeper and a man of rational intellect, sought a stable future for his son, while his mother, Eugénie Prudhomme, née Bernard, was soft-spoken, deeply religious, and passionate about music and language. She provided a nurturing environment filled with love and care. Sully's early years were filled with warmth and intellectual curiosity, but fate had other plans. When Sully was just 5 years old, tragedy struck. His father passed away, leaving Eugénie to raise him alone. The loss created a void that never truly left him, but also gave rise to a soul capable of deep contemplation. This profound loss would later shape the themes of loss, sorrow, and introspection in his poetry. Sully's intellectual curiosity led him to pursue studies at Lycée Bonaparte, one of the most prestigious schools in Paris, where he excelled in philosophy and the sciences. Initially, he dreamed of becoming an engineer. He was intelligent, thoughtful, and particularly drawn to science and mathematics. He joined the École Centrale des Arts and Manufactures, driven by logic and reason. But destiny was quietly redirecting his path. A severe eye condition forced him to abandon his technical studies. It was a painful decision, forced him to leave his engineering studies. His scientific dreams crumbled, but it one that led him to embrace the world of words instead. With science no longer in reach, Sully turned to his other passion, literature. He joined the Académie des Sciences, des Lettres et des Arts, immersing himself in philosophy and poetry. Drawn to literature and philosophy, Sully found solace in poetry. Inspired by the works of Victor Hugo and Alfred de Musset, he began to write his own verses, expressing emotions that could not be measured by science. The literary circles of Paris soon took notice of Sully's talent. His unique style blended scientific precision with deep emotional sensitivity, setting him apart from his contemporaries. In 1865, his first poetry collection, Stances de Poèmes, was published. It was a revelation. The book was an instant success, captivating readers with its blend of melancholy, philosophy, and beauty. Unlike traditional romantic poets of his time who celebrated nature and love, Sully Prudhomme sought to bridge the gap between art and reason. He believed that poetry should not only evoke emotion, but also convey intellectual depth. His poetry often explored themes of love, loss, and human destiny, yet with the precision of a scientist. He was a poet who sought logic in emotions and emotions in logic. Prudhomme introduced a new voice, one of introspection, of philosophical questioning. The broken vase still keeps the scent of roses that were heaven sent. His famous poem, Vase Brisé, The Broken Vase, became a symbol of fragile human emotion. Critics were stunned. The French literary world had found a new genius. Over the next decade, Sully Prudhomme's reputation soared. His works like Les Épreuves, The Test, Les Solitudes, The Solitudes, and Les Destins, The Fates, showcased the blend of emotion and reason, of love and loss, of thought and soul.
In 1870, the Franco-Prussian War shattered the peace Sully had known.
A nation trembled. So did Prudhomme. Though not a soldier, Prudhomme volunteered in the National Guard. War deeply affected him as he witnessed the suffering and destruction around him. The horrors of war deepened his poetry. In 1875, he published La Justice, a lengthy philosophical poem reflecting on morality, justice, and human suffering. He was no longer just a poet. He had become France's poetic conscience. In 1881, Prudhomme was elected to the Académie Française, the highest literary honor in France. The boy who once mourned in silence was now the voice of a nation. Yet he remained a solitary figure. He never married, dedicating his life to thought, poetry, and reflection. His philosophy was expressed in La Justice, 1778, and Le Bonheur, Happiness, 1888. After Le Bonheur, Prudhomme turned from poetry to write essays on aesthetics and philosophy. He published two important essays, L'Expression dans les Beaux-Arts, 1884, and Réflexions sur l'art des vers, 1892, a series of articles on Blaise Pascal in La Revue des Deux Mondes, 1890, and an article on free will, La psychologie du libre arbitre, 1906, in the Revue de métaphysique et de morale. In 1901, Alfred Nobel's dream came to life. The first Nobel Prizes were to be awarded, and for literature, the Swedish Academy chose Sully Prudhomme. For his poetic composition, which gives evidence of lofty idealism, artistic perfection, and a rare combination of the qualities of both heart and intellect. In his final years, Sully Prudhomme lived quietly. He founded literary societies and supported younger poets. As the years passed, Sully Prudhomme withdrew from public life due to declining health. Yet his pen never rested, and his passion for poetry never faded. He died suddenly on September 6, 1907, and was buried at Père Lachaise in Paris. Sully Prudhomme wrote not just with ink, but with emotion, intellect, and vision. His poems are time machines, transporting us to the moments we felt broken, healed, questioned, and understood. Truth is more than light. It is the fire that burns in night. Sully's legacy was not just in his words, but in the countless poets he inspired. His work continues to be studied, admired, and cherished by lovers of literature. His voice lived on in his poetry, a voice that blended reason with passion, philosophy with emotion, and science with art. A timeless influence. Even today, Sully Prudhomme's poetry remains relevant. His words remind us that literature is not just about beauty, but about understanding the world, about searching for truth in the heart of human experience. Sully Prudhomme's complete works include poetry, prose, and philosophical essays. A published collection of his work from 1883 to 1908 would span exact number of individual books would exceed the 8-volume set. He was the first to hold the Nobel torch for literature, a flame that still burns in the hands of poets today. Sully Prudhomme didn't just write verses, he gave literature its soul.
Thanks for being with Awards. Subscribe to know more about international award winners and unsung heroes behind peace, science, and humanity.